Hey everybody, what's up? MikeD57s here, and as you all know, I have all my models spread out here on the layout, and of course, the reason for that is to celebrate a special occasion. Yep. Now, as we all know, 2015 marks the 70th anniversary of the Railway series slash Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. And, of course, to celebrate, that means we're going to be doing a special review. Yep, as we all know... Oh, excuse me, that's not what I meant to say. Now, obviously, I've reviewed The Adventure Begins already, and it's still a fantastic movie, and even though I still prefer the original, like, I do like how, Hit was able to, celebrate the franchise's 70th anniversary in their own way. And I give them props for that. So, yeah. After The Adventure Begins, now I am going to be reviewing the second special that was also made to celebrate 70 years of this beloved franchise. And that, of course, is Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. Oh, yeah. We are definitely going to be taking a look at this movie. And I've been looking forward to reviewing this ever since it just came out, because... honestly, I've, seen the movie, and I'll just say it, oh my god. This movie was just amazing. Literally. It was just so... I know I'm jumping the gun here, but literally, this is a wonderful way to celebrate 7 years of a beloved franchise of what started out as a series of children's books created by a reverend that was used to entertain his own son when he was sick, and ended up becoming a major part in children's pop culture. And literally, this year has really been one hell of a year for the franchise, and I mean really. And before we get into this, unlike, my review of, like my other movie reviews, I've decided I'm going to be reviewing, movies from now on by just the Thomas specials, by basically just talking about it basically through the story. Yeah, as I thought that would be a much easier way, because there is a lot in this movie that I would love to talk about. And of course, I did get the inspiration from 1995 Express, who, of course, has already reviewed the movie itself when it was out in theaters in the UK. So, thanks, man. And, yeah, in fact, that was another reason why I deleted my review of Tale of the Brave, because, it was difficult as, of course, I did, get dragged in, if you could say that, I did waste time, talking about many things, and I, of course, did piss myself with rage, but, yeah, sorry about that again. But I think maybe I've been a little too hard on Tale of the Brave. It's not one of my favorite specials. I don't hate it, but that doesn't mean I dislike it either, no. It's good in its own way, just for the moral, but that's aside the point. So yeah, I've decided I'm going to be reviewing this movie and the Thomas specials from now on by basically just, talking about it through the story. Oh, and before we get into it, yes, spoiler alert, yeah, so if you guys do not want any spoilers, then honestly, don't watch these videos. Just watch the movie first. But if you don't really give a crap, then by all means, just go ahead and watch it. Alright, so yes. Let's get on with it, shall we? Alright, so why is it that Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure is said to be one of the best Thomas specials, well, as of now? Yeah, because I'll just talk about something else here. Well, let's see how good it is, since this special was also, along with The Adventure Begins, was made to celebrate 70 years of Thomas the Tank Engine. Alright. Now, the movie starts off basically on Thomas's branch line at the windmill. Of course, the windmill from Season 8 onwards, or no, I think it was Season 5 onwards, yeah. I remember. Where, of course, we have another wonderful narration by Mark Morahan. And, yeah, I'll just say it right now. Once again, Mark Morahan does a fabulous job at narrating. I mean, where could you go wrong with him these days? I mean, I honestly think that, he actually is doing good. I mean, like, it doesn't matter who narrates the series now. I mean, as long as the narration's good, I'm going for it. But honestly, Mark Morahan, like, well, honestly, you know what I'm gonna say. I mean, his narration, like, is so good. I think he should still be the narrator for this series. I'm gonna be honest there. And while that's going on, he also refers to Thomas by his full name. Yeah, that's one prop. That's one of the props I'll give this movie. Like, basically in the script, they actually refer to Thomas by his full name. That obviously is Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah, and I'm so glad that they finally were able to recognize Thomas for, of course, his full name, Thomas the Tank Engine. And honestly, I don't even know how long it's been since we've heard them mention him by that. Like, I mean, just last year, like, have been referring to him as just Thomas the Tank Engine. And yeah, I mean, it's been a while, and I'm just glad they're not calling him Thomas the Train. No, it's just Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah, I get pissed when people only refer to him like that. It's just so stereotypical. So yeah, we actually do get a little recreated version of the intro where Thomas does pass by the windmill, but he also passes under a bridge, kind of like in the classic series intro. And it's basically, the plot is, Thomas, of course, is being his usual cheeky and mischievous self, where, of course, he's keeping an eye out for Birdie. Of course, well, here's what I meant to say, like, usually, so he could just race him. Of course, Annie and Claire will object to that, as obviously that's just, gonna cause some problems for the passengers. Of course, while he is racing along, he almost has a near collision with Toby, and just implying that, of course, Thomas can be a very, immature and a very cheeky little, tank engine. And while that's going on, Birdie, of course, is trying to catch up and almost has a near collision with the first. Oh yeah, and that's another reason why this special is so great. We do get some returning characters in this. Yeah, I mean, plenty of returning characters. And the first of these returnees is Oliver. And no, not the Great Western Engine Oliver, because he and Toad are already back. I mean, the Excavator, yeah, the Pack. From the Pack members, yeah. And while that's going on, Oliver does say, "Sorry, old friend," to someone on a bicycle. And, oh yep, spoiler alert, it's Reverend W. Audrey. Yep, that's one of the props I'll give him. Yeah, like, we actually get a cameo by the late Reverend Audrey, the very man who created Thomas the Tank Engine. Like, seriously. It's been, like, years since we've seen the late Vicar. And here's a little fun fact. According to Ian McHugh, I think it was Ian McHugh, that the Audrey family was actually consulted into rendering their own father into the special. And I think it was a nice touch, since this is made to, I know I said this already, celebrate 70 years of the franchise. We obviously had to, give him a cameo, and I'm so glad they did that, because, honestly, the model of Reverend Audrey looks just like, the actual Reverend himself. So yeah, after that, nice little, like, cameo, because, don't worry, we'll see him again. We also get the, intro sequence, and what I mean is, like, the intro credits, and instead of an animated sequence, now this time, it's actually these really interesting clips of Thomas, which I gotta say, the animation by ARC, yeah, like, ARC Productions, what am I gonna tell you? They've outdone themselves ever since, season 17 came along. Like, man, look at the animation in this movie. And in this one particular scene, we get different, like, views of Thomas. Like, the different views of our favorite blue tank engine. Like, everywhere. Not just his sides and, his wheels and funnel, but heck, even the inside of his cab. Like, his valve gauges, his firebox. Heck, even his cylinders. Jeez, I mean, like, that is another good way. Like, showing us the different views of our favorite childhood hero. And of course, like, the intro all and of course after that we get, of course, the opening title. As usual, when Mark Morahan just says the name of course, the movie. And then Thomas, of course, stops at Farquhar Branch, which I don't know if I said this in my, Adventure Begins review, but it's nice to see that station again, as it is the main station on his branch line. Yeah, like, Thomas stops there, like, and of course the angle is, I'm just going to show you. It's basically like this. Oh, excuse me. Of course, implying, sorry. I didn't mean implying, I mean referencing the last part of the intro where he stops at Farquhar Station. Yep, so we basically get the recreated intro in a nutshell. Well, Classic Series 1. Where, after that, Annie and Clarabelle, of course, are scolding Thomas for his cheeky behavior. And, of course, they do use the classic peas in a frying pan reference. Yeah, I get the feeling they're going to be using that reference quite a lot. And, of course, Birdie pulls up as well. And he's obviously, pissed that he had to be delayed by Oliver. And, of course, the reason for that was that they're starting construction. And, yeah, this is part of the plot. Construction on a new branch line that will be running from Arlesborough to Harwick. And, of course, Annie and Clarabelle, they start going ballistic, thinking that the Fat Controller would close down their branch line. But Thomas, of course, says, my branch line is the part of... And I just, was smiling on my face, because that is, of course, one trait of Thomas. Not only how cheeky he was, but also how arrogant he was as well. Of course, he's like, my branch line is the pride of the line. And he even says, I'll always be the Fat Controller's number one. Yeah, which would also imply that. But yeah, that is true, seeing that he is, well, the number one tank engine on the Northwestern Railway. So, yeah. Then, after that, we cut to another scene where we also are reintroduced to yet another character from this series. Well, actually from Tale of the Brave, as well as Season 18, Marion. Yep. I gotta say this, yeah, I really enjoy Marion. Like, everyone's favorite chatty steam shovel is back. Oh, and she even has her own subplot in the movie. Yeah, and I think the reason for that is probably because Marion is voiced by a celebrity, of course, i.e. Olivia Colman, who, once again, yeah, and I think I should have mentioned that. Yeah, I actually didn't know, but yeah, I didn't know Olivia Colman that well, but I will say that she does a phenomenal job as the voice of our favorite chatty steam shovel. So yeah, Marion, of course, is also helping out with the Harwick branch line construction. And while she's going across the Little Western, in a forest, she also, of course, comes across some familiar, and I do mean familiar, as this was in the Railway series books, like flying, well, I'm not gonna, spend time looking for words there. And while she, is rather, creeped out by this, she also runs into, of course, Oliver and Toad. And who are actually at Arlesborough Junction, I think it was? Or Arlesborough West. Yeah, they're actually at the very ballast hopper, and that's where she runs into three familiar characters from the Railway series. Yep, that's right. These characters happen to be the Arlesdale engines. Yep, the Arlesdale, or the small railway engines, are actually in this movie. Yeah. Or should I say, the series. Yeah, like, it's been like 20 freaking years. I thought it was 25 if you count the last book, Jock the New Engine. Yeah. But so I lost count there. But yes, like, when I first heard that they were going to have the Arlesdale engines in this movie, I was like, what? But not in a bad way. What I mean, like, oh, really? And, oh my god. They look... Well, here's me say, like, I am so, like, glad. I mean, like, ecstatic, if you would say, that they actually put 3 characters from the books that never made it into the classic model series, and now here they are. Obviously, they couldn't do them in the classic series, of course, due to, budget reasons. Because I mean, even if they were, like, in the classic series, I think they would have been HO models. But that's aside the point. So, yeah. We actually have the Arlesdale trio in the show for the first time. And when I mean trio, yeah, like, the only engines that are in this movie are Rex, Mike, and Bert. Of course, the other engines like Jock, Frank, the Blister Twins, and Sigrid, they, well, obviously aren't in this movie. So, I guess Andrew Brenner and, like, the staff probably just wanted to use the more iconic Arlesdale engines. I mean, we may see, Jock, Frank, and the other engines, but yes. So, like, so after seeing the Arlesdale engines, this gives it, of course, this shows the possibility that we may be getting, like, plenty of more Railway Series characters. I mean, heck, Glenn was, of course, in the Railway Series. Well, in that book, Island of Sodor, it's People, History, and Railways, I think it was. Yeah, I remember the title, but just had to say it all together. So, yeah. I mean, if Glenn, of course, who was one of the coffee pots, can make it into the series, as well as the small railway engines, now it looks like anything's possible. I mean, I hope Bear and Wilbur actually make an appearance, but let's not waste time here. So, yes, Rex, Mike, and Bert, of course, they look amazing in CGI. Just the way they look just like their book counterparts. I mean, the only difference is that they have headlamps on their smoke boxes and their wheels are in the same color as their livery rather than black. And I do think that the voices are just phenomenal. I mean, we have Tom Storton, the voice of Duncan, as the voice of Rex. We have Tim Withnail as Mike, and of course, regular Thomas and Friends voiceover actor Keith Wickham as the voice of Bert. Yeah, it's funny, I was thinking that Keith Wickham should be the voice of Bert, and at first I thought he was gonna give him a big boomy voice like Gordon or Scarloey, but I actually like this voice. I mean, it does sound elderly, because that would make sense, seeing that Bert is the oldest. Oh, and there's something else about Bert. He's not in his rebuilt form for some reason. I don't even know why they did. Maybe, the staff was just familiar with the Small Railway Engines book they decided to use that illustration of Bert. So, yeah. Oh, and about their whistles, I actually like them as well. Even if they are Mighty Mac's whistle for, well, Rex and Bert, I think it suits them. And I even like Mike's whistle as well. Oh, and I'm sorry if I'm wasting time here as well. You're gonna be asking me, who it would be my favorite out of the trio? To be honest, I think it would be Rex. And I know what you're thinking, MikeD57s. I thought Mike was your favorite engine. Because, obviously, he's got the same name as me. Well, don't get me wrong, I like Mike, but he's obviously got the same personality as James. Well, except, he likes pulling trucks and, hates pulling coaches. Alright, so, yes. When Marion meets the small railway engines for the very first time, she actually has a crazy assumption that they are magical. And, I gotta say that's funny. I mean, I think we'll talk about it for the rest of the way there. and I like how Mike is the one who's being taken aback, as, of course, he is the more argumentative of the group. Like, he says, like, when he's taken aback of how Marion, is questioning their existence, like, Mike, of course, starts feeling offended, and he's actually tells them the actual jobs like they do in the books. Like, they take wool from the farm, passengers, and ballast, which, of course, was their main job in the books to begin with. Yep. I mean, the certain incarnations of the Arlesdale engines I've seen by, certain, users would be Enterprising Engine 93, who I gotta say does a hilarious job as Mike and Frank. And Wild Nor'Wester. Alright, but let's not get dragged on. So yeah, after Marion meets the small railway engines, she does, start thinking that they could be magical and, fairies or elves or fairies, elves, genies, yeah, and while Oliver and Toad start leaving, we also get another, returnee. Yep, so now we'll talk about here. We do cut to the construction yard where Duck, the Great Western engine, is shunting some trucks, and here we run into, of course, the biggest ones for me. When I saw them in the trailer, I went nuts. Literally. And those characters that are returning as well, along with Oliver the Excavator, as well as some others, is Donald and Douglas. Oh my god. I went ecstatic when I saw them. 'Cause obviously they're one of the best characters in the series, and one of my favorites. Yeah, it's just phenomenal to see, the three of them again. No, I'm sorry, the two of them again, yeah. Because, they were talking with Duck, it has been, 7 years since we've seen them back in Season 12. Oh, it's funny, too, because at one point in the movie, Duck actually makes a reference to how they, haven't been seen for all those years. And, yeah, in fact, I was actually surprised that Duck did make a reference to that, as we did see in a sneak peek of, in the script of that 70 Years of Thomas documentary, Donald and Douglas, it's great that Duck, I mean, it's great to see them, but for the fact they decided to have Duck make a reference to their, 7-year hiatus, I mean, I was like, really? They actually made a reference to that? So, yeah, I know I, may have dragged on to this, but, hey, that's what I'm doing in this review. So, let's just talk about them for a minute. It's great that they're back, and their models in CGI, they look amazing. Seriously, are they cool, or are they, no, not cool, excuse me, awesome. They got everything right. Though one difference, now, is that they actually have their smoke boxes back, I mean their nameplates, right here, at the center of their smoke boxes, which, I mean, I was always a fan of this being in the middle, but, hey, it's no big deal. As long as the characters are back, that's good, because, I mean, it is cool that they actually did get their nameplates right back to, the front of their smoke boxes, like in Season 2, of course, which is when they first made their debut. I mean, everything, they look, I'm glad that they rendered them to look exactly like the real Caledonian 812. Everything, and speaking of that, they actually have new whistles, too, yeah, they actually have new whistles that sound exactly like the real Caledonian 812 locomotive. And I gotta say, it's cool. And don't get me wrong, I am nostalgic for their old whistles, believe me, and I still love listening to them. Though, granted, when you think about it, they are obviously a different, tone of Duck's whistle. But oh well. I mean, as long as the whistle's accurate. Because, like, seriously. Like, the attention to detail on them. Oh, and as for their voices, well, both Douglas and Donald are voiced by Joe Mills, who, of course, is the voice of Oliver and Toad. And I gotta say, these, like, Scottish accents that he did for the twins, I mean, like, they sound amazing. Like, these are one of the best Scottish accents I've ever heard. Like, well, I left to collect more rails and sleepers. Aye, so you could build more track. That's all. Oh, and even in some scenes, we even do get, we even see that they even have the same personalities as they did, of how they're, hardworking, kind-hearted, responsible, friendly, and also very intelligent, but also cheeky as well. I mean, that's a nice touch. I mean, and I can't wait to see more episodes in Season 20 with them. Alright, so enough of Donald and Douglas. We also get some other returning characters. We even, I mean, since Oliver the Pack, like the Excavator's back, we even get returned to a few other Pack characters. Like Jack. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen Jack. I mean, last time we saw him was 2 years ago in King of the Railway, yeah. I mean, then again, it would have been difficult to, find an episode to put Jack in. I mean, I wasn't always a big fan of the Jack and the Pack members, but I think they do well in this. Like, I don't mind them, basically. But doing an episode, well, to them, it's just hard for me to think of. And I wasn't a big fan of the Jack and the Pack series, I'll just say. Oh, and Alfie's back in this as well, and he looks great. In fact, Oliver and Alfie do look exactly, like, their actual models. I mean, like, I don't really see any differences at all. Well, then again, I wasn't really much of a big fan of them. But I like Alfie's voice, which is provided by Nathan Clark, who I mostly heard was in the Harry Potter films. So yeah, Nathan Clark, I think, did a good job as Alfie, kind of making him sound like Tencents from Tugs. I mean, that's cool. Oh, and yeah, something else. Max and Monty, the dump truck twins, they're in this too, but they really just get non-speaking cameos. They really don't do that much. So yeah, I mean, we get plenty of returning characters. Just, for me, Donald and Douglas, I know Toon Critic Y2K, of course, said that if you have a character, it means something, and I could see his point, but honestly, I don't know what else they could have done, because, I mean, what Donald and Douglas do in this movie is fine with me. But I guess I could say for, Oliver, as in the Great Western Engine, Duck and Toad, yeah, they don't really do that much. I mean, Duck does make, we do see him, in this movie plenty, but he doesn't really speak that much, sadly. It's a real shame. I mean, I really wish they could have written more, scenes for him. Maybe they just couldn't think of anything? Never mind. Alright. So, yeah, after that scene, yeah, I'm gonna just, stop the video here, and we'll be back later.